Hello everyone and welcome back. In today's video we're going to be looking at the LIONHEART build. I'll be starting off with a showcase to build against some boss fights. We're going to then move into some general mobs and then discussing the build itself, looking at the equipment, incantation and the stats. We will also give a little bit of a review at the end out of 10 for the build and cover anything we may have changed on the way through. We go ahead and start off with Morgott. So we go ahead and throw up our buffs here, which we'll go a little bit deeper into later on in the video. Go ahead and throw our physic on as well. Now, I did love this build, however, going up against certain bosses that are quick, I did find I struggled a little bit with this. Even though it deals massive amounts of damage, you can see I actually died here. It does deal massive amounts of damage with the raw and the follow-up attack. If you've never used this weapon before, if you're holding down, for any PlayStation users here, L2, you throw down your raw, and then if you hold down R2 instantly, you throw down a follow-up attack, which is another raw. And you can see here that I hit him once, and it's already done, what, a good 20% of his damage. Go ahead and throw another one down, do a lot more damage. And you'll see we drop him down to the second phase so quickly. The damage that this can deal is insane. Now, the issue I found with the particular setup that I had is I should have gone ahead and swapped out one of my talismans to do some damage negation, because I did find that this can be a little bit squishy. Someone actually made this build for me, so a little bit of a shout out to you. She goes by the name of Melody, and she has been brilliant in helping me come up with some of these builds. So with this one in particular, she did go ahead and throw me down a Dragoncrest shield talisman. I have no idea why I picked the Erdtrees Talisman in the end. I guess it gave a little bit of quality of life, and I was struggling with endurance to start with, and this build was a little bit heavy, so that's why I leveled up quite a lot and then never swapped it back. This build is fantastic, however you will see here the animation is so slow, and by the time you throw it down, if you are getting staggered, because let's face it, my Poise is 51 and I am still getting broken quite a bit. Most bosses do have the ability to break your Poise, or break your stance really. So even though you're at maxed out of where you should be, you can still get hit. Now we're going to go fire on here to one of the gargoyles here, and we go ahead, buff up again. Always have to buff up with this build. You can't just go in and start hitting things, because it's not going to work. Yes, it's a bit slow at the start, but let's face it, it's definitely worth it. You'll see here, we do the raw, then we do the follow-up raw, and it's already dropped down below 50%. 2 hits. What was that, 3 seconds worth? This fight is kind of notorious for being a bit of a pain, but there we go. With this build, it really isn't. I think we 3 or 4 shot this. Now, I do underestimate a little bit with how big the AoE build is, or the AoE damage for this is. The area isn't huge, it's decent, but it's not massive. Now, you will discover this as we progress through the video here, and you'll see me think that I'm closer than what I am, but I'm really not. We do then go ahead and come over to the invader within the round table, the second one where you get the Taunter's tongue. He even bows to you, which is still incredible. Now, you'll see how quickly we melt him. He doesn't have a very high defense. We just absolutely destroy him, and this is me being a bit thick. I should have killed him on the second hit there, but there we go. A lot of this fight you will see me go ahead and throw down the raws more than any of the follow-up attacks, and I was just trialing just to see how the damage was. Now, this build isn't just primarily focused on the raw, even though we do go ahead and heavily build around the raw, but we are very heavily strength based as well, so the follow-up normal swings with this thing is going to hit them like a truck. So if you have gone ahead, done the raw, you've done your follow-up raw, just go ahead and do a standard attack and you are absolutely going to melt your targets. I was debating whether to keep this fight in this video, just because I take a lot of damage, and you can kind of see what this build is great at and what this build isn't great at. With the incantations we have, especially the Howl, you do take a lot more damage once it's activated. It's too good to pass up though with the 25% boost you get, but you do take more damage. Now you can negate that with talismans, or you can also negate that slightly with the physic, which you take 90% less damage until you get hit. So once you hit, it pops. But it's great at the start. But again, this is one that you've got to really focus on the range. This boss isn't one of the best bosses to come up. I do find any boss with a massive AoE attack, or that is super quick and agile on its feet, this build does struggle with. However, if they don't break your stance, and like that, they have a long animation spell as well, you are going to destroy them. This is arguably one of the funnest builds I've ever come up against. Now, this is our mob attacks. So this build wrecks mobs. I mean, I can't even explain how much it wrecks mobs, and you'll see it here. This is quite a notorious early, I would say, farming location. Not to a point where you're going to get hundreds of thousands of runes here, but at the start it's good for some cheeky levels. We'll go ahead here and round everyone up. We've fully buffed ourselves up. We'll go ahead and grab as many of these mobs as we can. I do love this little area. I spent way too much time here on my first playthrough. Now, we'll go ahead, do the roar, and you'll see the guys fly up in the air. We only get 2 here. We follow up stamp, catch them on the return swipe here. And here I think I get 5. Slap it down, and it just shows how ridiculous the AoE move is. And the range is okay for areas like this. You don't really get your stance broken that much, but you did see that I did get my stance broken. Is what it is, unfortunately. You're not going to get a perfect thing with this. You do occasionally get hit, and there's the follow-up, just a standard whack. Right, the incantations we are using, we've got the Golden Vow, and we've got the Howl of Shabriri. Do excuse any of my pronunciations for this, some of it can be a bit off. And we also have the Flask here. We're going to go through in a sec and show you what these actually do. Now, here's the roar. We'll do the roar. Then we've got the follow-up stamp and the follow-up swipe. Moving on to our equipment, we have the Axe of Godfrey +10 for its Regal Roar, the Clawmark Seal, the Black Flame Monk Hood, Zama Armour, the Raging Wolf Gauntlets, the Veteran's Greaves. For our talismans, we have the Axe Talisman, which enhances our charge attacks, the Roar Medallion, which enhances our roars, our Erdtrees Favour +2 for the quality of life boost, and the Shard of Alexander, which boosts our power of our skills. For the Flask, we have the Strength Knot Crystal tier. This grants a strength boost by 10 for 3 minutes, and the Opaline Bubbletear, which reduces damage by 90% for 3 minutes or until hit. The incantations we use are the Howl of Shabriri, which grants us 25% damage boost, however you do take an additional 30% extra damage. This lasts for 40 seconds. And the Golden Vow, which grants 15% extra damage for 80 seconds. These do stack and give us an additional 40% in total. You're essentially hit like a truck with this. Our armour grants us 51 Poise, which is super important, but you can chop and change the armour depending on your fashion. I have no fashion sense, this was built for me. My stats for this are Vigour 66, Mind 20, Endurance 30, Strength 90. My Dex is 56 and my Faith is 33. Faith is super important to hit 33 or even 28, and you could use the Godric's Great Rune to boost for an extra 5. This will allow you to use all the incantations listed. You can also go ahead and throw down a couple of other incantations if you so wish for the build. Personally, I'd give this build an 8 out of 10. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It is a bit squishy, but you can negate that with various changes through this. I'd highly recommend doing this build. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you again in the next one. Bye!